please, everyone, give a very warm ShmooCon welcome for the tech that fought back with Andrew Schoka.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Andrew. I'm really excited to be here for my first and my last ShmooCon. It's really great to, I'm glad it worked out to be here. I will just start off by saying, for Heidi Bruce and the CFP board, thank you for letting me put in this little cheeky title. I promise it's not a dig on the board or anything like that at all. I'll explain why. So where did I start back then? I was really excited to submit to ShmooCon back in 2021. I jumped in right at the deadline. I was number 7. Here was a problem back then. I used to do election security stuff with the DoD. Now, gotten out of the Army and doing a little bit on my own and then a little bit in the academic arena. So I've been looking at this for a couple years now. Surprise, surprise, it hasn't changed all that much. It's really just gotten worse. And 2024 was in a lot of ways pretty unprecedented when it came to election security things. For anybody who was in the room earlier, there was a really great talk on some election security things. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what does it actually look like at a political party, at a campaign. So I had a couple of problems. First one, how do you actually find political party websites, campaign websites? Really easy to go out and find one or two if you live locally and you're looking for your local Republican Party, Democratic Party website. Very, very hard to do when you're looking at the 500,000 elected positions we have in the country. Second, cool, I've got a list of political party domains. I've got a list of campaigns. How do I go out and actually find what's wrong with them or what's worth fixing? That was the fun kind of technical part of the problem. But the most important part of the problem, and the one that I'll spend the most time talking about at the end today, is how do you actually get change to happen? This is what I was missing back then when I first pitched to ShmooCon and a couple other places. I love to talk about the problem. I love to talk about what I found. It's fun, it's interesting. Hopefully you'll laugh a little bit when you see some of these websites. But really what mattered was actually trying to fix these things. So in case you didn't believe me, here's what some of those websites look like. I'm not showing anything you can't go out and find right now on your phone today. Your average state and local party website is built on a tech stack that gets recycled every 2 or 4 years. So you get these really weird Frankensteinian deployments that get recycled and just smushed on top of each other. Sometimes they change platforms, sometimes they don't. But I noticed they all did this really weird thing where they started listing phone numbers and emails. Turns out that's pretty common across a lot of these things. So I built something to go out and find that. To tackle problem number 1, there's some interesting websites that track political party spending and campaign spending in elections. And a lot of times campaigns will register their website as a part of registering when they're getting donations and funding. That's where I started looking for websites. Another good place was looking at the national party pages and looking for every state and every county party website they had under them. In the first study, I sort of found about 3,000 of those. Now I'm up to about 50 or 60,000 of them. You can do some little tips and tricks with named entity recognition to start finding campaign websites. The further down you get into state and local, the weirder these things look. So solving problem number 2. I've got this list of websites. I've got a list of domains. I've got a list of mail servers. How do I actually go out and find what's wrong with them? The public version of that tool is called Hookshot. It lives on my GitHub and you can download it right now. It is by no means production quality. It is very much hacked together and does this one thing very specifically, but it does it pretty well. If you wanted to say, scrape 50,000 websites, find every private email address, phone number, address, other personal information on that website, on an attachment, or linked in some of these third-party applications, and then compare it against something like Have I Been Pwned, or Infrastilo threads, or maybe some other threat intelligence sources, this is a pretty good way to do it at that scale. So this is the tool that I got to build to try to tackle that problem. Here's what it actually looks like in the wild. One of the most classic CTFE problems I've ever found in the wild was Cloudflare's email obfuscation. Basically, it's a little JavaScript applet where if you go and render a web page and you mouse over someone's email, sure, it resolves to you as andrew@gmail.com. But in the HTML source of the page, it's obfuscated. It's very, very easy to undo that. It's probably the most classic example of security through obscurity I've seen. And then I mentioned earlier these kind of sandwich deployments on top of each other. Those are what you see in those other screenshots on the right-hand side. So ElfSite this is one of those widgets that's used for storing data not in the web page itself, pulling it from a third-party source. So that way, like if I look at the page source, I can't necessarily see this table of emails. I can just see where they're getting linked from. Turns out when you start sandwiching these deployments on top of each other and putting a new one on there every 2 or 4 years, you start to leave behind artifacts like this, old Google Drive files, or some old like Wix endpoints that basically do the same thing. So the tool goes out and finds those. I picked 2 arbitrary colors just to sort of assign to what I was finding. And we'll just sort of, maybe for ease of reading, let you look at those. I've got stickers for anybody who sort of can find any kind of statistical difference between the two, because I couldn't. Your average state Republican Party and Democratic Party website has almost the exact same ratio of the number of private accounts that they expose through all these different means, the ratio of those accounts that are breached or have been in recent data breaches. I hoard a lot of hack breach and leaked data, and looking through those and finding passwords that are literally, no kidding, like MAGA 2024, that are used on accounts that also get used on some of these websites. It paints a pretty concerning picture when you're talking about tens of thousands of accounts out there, that I can go out and with like very little technical sophistication, with a web browser and an email account, go out and collect that information, correlate it to a campaign or a party, and then stand a pretty reasonable chance of having a password that's getting used to that website. The second technical risk I was looking at was, hey, how sophisticated are these web deployments? So I looked at how quickly campaigns were picking up with DMARC, and then I looked at whether they had Cloudflare or any kind of just basic DDoS protection. For me, one of my nightmare scenarios was a swing county in the middle of a swing state that has just a couple hundred voters registered to a party. Their party website gets taken down on election day, or someone gets in and changes it and says, hey, actually polls close at 2 p.m. today. If you haven't been yet, don't go. This is not like some grand election hack, like no one's getting in and changing the vote count. It's something that's very, very easy to do. But like stuff like this is a very, very good way of protecting that. And Cloudflare has even got a free campaign, or a free program for campaigns to get that. Unsurprisingly, the further down you get, when you get down past the state level, down to these local races for school boards, for county sheriff, the level of technical sophistication drops dramatically, which to me pointed to just a fundamental and systemic resourcing problem. And this is where like us, as folks who've been good at this and do this for a living, can get out and actually affect change, because these are campaigns and parties working in our communities right now. Okay, but like what about problem number 3, the important part, right? Like what does it actually look like to get campaigns to care about this? Number 1 is about trust. It's really the only industry where you can come out and pick a side and alienate half of your customer base, just off the bat. It's tough, it's tricky, it's understandable though. A Democratic Party campaign is not going to work with a Republican cybersecurity provider. That would be a hilarious headline, but it's not going to happen. It's all about trust in this space. There are folks who've worked in this space for a long, long time. A couple of them are here, and getting them involved with this, learning who those folks are. There's a lot of really good, powerful, trusted agents out there who can communicate this risk to the parties. It's important to meet them where they're at. So it's fun to come to ShmooCon and talk about this. It's fun to go to other conferences and talk about it with other cyber people who get why listing your personal home address tied to your like state committee voting record is maybe a bad idea. It's another thing to get out to the places where campaigns are and tell them, hey, here's the risk to why, like you doing this, what it means for you and your voters. The most important thing that we did working on this though, and the thing that I missed when I pitched ShmooCon back in the day, and what I tried to change, was focusing on the solution. On the right-hand side there is this awesome nonprofit in the space called Defending Digital Campaigns. It's run by a guy named Michael Kaiser, who does some really awesome work getting these resources to campaigns. So we worked with them to put this information out. It was great to talk to people at conferences like this. It was even better to get this published through a trusted source that could deliver this right to those campaigns and say, hey, look, you've got some account information related to your website that's out there. There's this guy who goes and talks and he's got your passwords to your website, like you should go in and change them. But coming from a trusted source that could speak from a very trusted place to those campaigns made a really big difference. Oh, that's okay. Lessons learned, what would I do differently? I mentioned don't admire the problem. Try to build things to fix it. It was a really fun technical problem to challenge, to find every political website in the country, try to find everything that's wrong with it. Don't go it alone. I did for a couple of years, and it was really, really hard. Things got a lot easier once I found some really awesome, supportive teammates who are passionate about the problem and passionate about bringing technology out bipartisan to campaigns. That made things all the better. don't email the DNC CISO on there directly, but his name is Steve. He's a really nice guy, and he got back to me when I emailed him. So like I put that over in the do column because finding those champions within these organizations, someone who understands the risk and can affect change internally, is a really great way to go about solving these problems. And then lastly, most importantly, ask for help, sort of like I'm doing right now. Each and every one of you has more IT and certainly more cybersecurity experience than almost any volunteer at a state and local party or campaign. Please go out and get involved and help them. They're in a tough spot, and it's a really, really important issue. Everyone except for you, Tim. Most of them don't have that experience and that know-how, so please get out and help them. It's a really important thing that impacts all of us. That's all I got. Thank you very much.